right, there we go. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. We're back for another week. I'm excited. We've got the wonderful Shenai Johnston come through, an amazing Aussie musician, country. It's a country show today. But, a lot of people say to me that country and hip hop are pretty aligned because it's a lot on storytelling. So you're not that far away. But for anyone who hasn't listened to your music, you released an EP in July, I think it was, this year. And there are
Yeah, that's
whispers
right.
of an album coming out in 2025. So really exciting. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So let me ask you about country, because I feel like country is having a resurgence at the moment. Like, I think it's like it was quiet for a few years and now it's really coming out. There are a lot of new country artists coming out. How does it feel to be part of a genre that seems to be growing quite rapidly?
Yeah, it is. I think that country music has always been, I know that there is like a little bit of a resurgence at the moment, but I just feel like it's such a solid genre. It's always there. But yeah, it's definitely, I guess there's a few artists there's a few songs that are on like more mainstream radio at the moment. But yeah, there's always been artists that have been able to bring country music to the forefront. Growing up for me, like it was Shania Twain. She like just came on the scene and people were like, what is this? Like, is this country? Is it not? And then there's like Taylor Swift and I guess more recently, like, yeah, Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen. But I think that country music as a genre, it's always been so strong. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's just, yeah, love it. Yeah, I'm country to the core, so I'm so happy to be doing what I love. Yeah.
I would be surprised if you sang in a genre that you didn't particularly like. It would be a revelation of revelations if you're like, I sing country, but not a fan.
Yeah, yeah. I love country music. Yeah, I love it. I love, like you said before, I love the storytelling. I love the harmonies. I love the instruments in country music. And it's so diverse. There are so many subgenres of country music as well. So yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, because I would consider myself a novice country listener. I wouldn't say that I am particularly
Not obsessed like
experienced.
me.
No, I'm not obsessed like you. So, but it is interesting that the
Yeah.
way that you speak about country is the same way that I would speak about hip hop, in the sense of there is
Mm.
rich storytelling. There are so many subgenres and there are so many up and coming artists. So
Mhm.
I do think it's interesting though, that because that's the thing that people have told me is probably the closest genre outside of R&B to hip hop is probably country in terms of its core tenets of just storytelling and the importance that it
Yeah.
has on lyrics. So it is fascinating to me that, like, to the ear they would be so different, but just the importance on that storytelling, on the importance of lyrics, is just so critical in everything that
Yeah.
you do.
And I think that's why you do get so many artists crossing that, there's so many artists that are country pop and country hip hop. And I think that's why you get so much of a crossover is because, and then you get artists like Beyonce that just force you to be like, okay, what is genre anyways? Like what is it? What is it that makes a genre? Like that's it's just so interesting. Yeah.
How do you view that? Because I think it's difficult as an artist, because you must think about the music you make and the music you will make. Do you consciously think about the genre, or do you just go, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do?
Yeah. Well, for me, in my 20s, I think I really struggled as an artist because I had no direction and I didn't have a genre that I identified with. So for me, figuring out my genre um, has been really important for me as an artist. And because I grew up in the country, I grew up in a small town, and my voice is very country. And like for me, and sorry, I live in a country town in Western Australia. I think that identifying with a genre has really helped me as an artist, and it's helped me in my journey where I'm going. Um, yeah, it's yeah, I guess yeah, for me, it's really helped me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I think sometimes it can be your journey, which is it supports you and helps you give guidance and go, okay, this is what I'm heading
yeah,
towards.
yeah, I guess I was just a little bit lost in my 20s with like what kind of artist. And I think in your 20s, you're still like figuring out who you are as well as a person. You're still like, um, yeah, you're still figuring out who you are. So I just feel like I know who I am now. Um, I know that I can write great songs, and I know that I'm a good singer. Um, but I guess it's just, I really want to take it to that, next level. I just want to keep getting better. I just want to keep writing music every day. Um, and I just want to keep getting better as an artist and evolving. And yeah, I just really think that the country music genre is where I'm meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I think because people sometimes feel boxed in with the genre, and it sounds like you're the opposite. You feel free because you're like, at least I know what I'm
Yeah.
aiming for.
Yeah. I think sometimes, yeah, people can definitely feel boxed in by genres. And I guess that's why people make shifts all the time, between genres. But I guess, being I'm 33, I've only just started recording my music for the first time. And yeah, at the moment, I just feel like country music is what I want in growth. Yeah, I love the genre. Like you said, I love the genre. I'm so obsessed with it. And there's just so many different, I don't feel boxed in with country music because I feel like there's so many different sounds in country music. Like you said, there's so many different subgenres. I just feel like there's so much opportunity for growth in this particular genre.
That's awesome. Can I ask you, what made you decide to start recording yourself now as opposed to in your early 20s? Like, why wait until, because you've got a family, you've obviously got responsibilities, and
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time talking to musicians, and I'm like, it's not easy at the best of times. So why now? Why is it
yeah.
something for you that you're like,
That's
I'm
such
ready?
a good question. That is such a good question. Well, yeah, like I already said, I think when I was a bit younger, I definitely was a bit lost in terms of um, not having that genre that I kind of identified with. I think I had different priorities as well. I mean, I had a really hard time, um, 19, 20, 21, 22. I lost my mum when I was 19,
I'm sorry.
and that was such a traumatic thing to happen at like a quite an impressionable age. And I just lost passion. I lost passion for, I went from just singing all the time. I was singing from a really young age, really, really young age, community events, school things. And then I just lost the passion for it. And, it was probably dealing with, a lot of depression, losing my mum who drove me around to all the competitions, and um she was such a, she just thought I was the greatest, and she just gave me every opportunity. So that was a really hard time. And I think having a big family was a really big priority of mine, probably over, I mean, I did go to school. I went to uni, sorry, and got a human services degree. So I was studying, and I was as soon as I finished that, I had my first child, and I was having kids. And I guess those priorities of having a family were just um, more important to me at that time. And then, yeah, after I turned 30 and, my kids were getting older, um, I just picked up, I don't know. We did move to a country town. Sorry, this was probably the beginning of it. We moved to a country town in WA, which hosts the Boyup Brook Country Music Festival every year. And they also have the WA Country Music Awards here. And I think in the back of my mind when we moved here, I was like, oh, this is kind of a musical town. There's a bit happening here in the in that kind of musical realm. And I just started listening to country music more and more. I became just like engrossed in it. I started songwriting again. And I do believe in timing. I think sometimes, when the time is right and you have a better idea of who you are and what you want to do, sometimes that can kind of push you to feel comfortable to take that next step. I guess long story short, the reason, why I chose to start recording my music now was, I just identified with a genre. I was looking at all of these artists and I was just thinking to myself, like, I can do that. I've been writing music for such a long time, like I need to just start getting this stuff recorded. That's just the next step. And so I just did it. Yeah.
How long was your break in between, like taking a pause from writing and recording, or was that consistent throughout the whole way through?
The break from songwriting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my break from songwriting, or I probably stopped writing songs when I was about 24, 25. So when I started writing again, it was probably like 6 or 7 years from.
Wow.
I just didn't. Yeah. I mean, when I was having a family, it was probably 6 or 7 years. Yes, I just completely stopped writing. So terrible. Never happening again. Ever.
It's funny hearing you
Too
say
important.
terrible now, though, because it's like, I'm like, but if you didn't take the break, you wouldn't be where you are now, and you wouldn't have, like, it's weird. I always
Wouldn't be, yeah.
Yeah, like, I have these conversations with my girlfriend a number of times, which is like, is there anything you would change? And sometimes I'm like, I don't think I would, because I wouldn't be where I am now, and it's impossible to know where you could
That's
have
exactly right. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Like 100%. I think that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be now. And I wouldn't change anything. Because I think that, in my early 20s, I was going through a lot and I needed to work through that and get through that. I still don't feel like I still know that I've got so much work to do. You never really stop processing, trauma. It's just like, I feel like it's always there. Like you've just got to keep showing up for yourself every day and feeling the feelings. And then, like having a family was such a big priority as well, and I wouldn't change that for the world because I wouldn't have my boys. So I do believe, timing is, you're where you're meant to be. Yeah. But then what you do now is so important, and the choices you make now. And, when you do decide to give something everything that you have, you've got to be all in. Yeah.
I would be surprised if someone at some point was like, I'm done. I'm done with my self-development. I'm finished dealing with everything, and I can officially call myself complete. Like, that never happens for anyone. So I think there's something I think there's something important in acknowledging that is always a journey that you're on, of like, I'm always going to try and get better. I'm always going to try and deal with things in a healthier, more compassionate way than perhaps I did in the past. And I don't know, I think it makes you
Yeah,
interesting still. It gives you something to write about. It gives you something to sing about.
definitely.
Like if you had
Yes.
no fluctuation, what would you express? Like it would just be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that is life. That is life. We are supposed to go through hard times, and we're supposed to go through really amazing times, and there's going to be lulls, and there's going to be, amazing things that happen. Um, and something that my husband and I have been talking about quite a lot lately is because I've just had so many amazing opportunities happen since I started recording my music. And um, something that we've been talking about is, yeah, just making sure that, you don't get too excited about things, and you don't get too down, or too, it's just trying to, yeah, remain like level headed. And yeah, um, I think that I think if you can do that and have that kind of stability and learn how to do that, yeah, it just, for me, like, I feel like I'll become a better human if I can. Yeah,
but also enjoy the good times because they're not
enjoy
forever.
enjoy the yeah, for sure, and you got to enjoy all those good times. Yeah, yeah, um,
Yeah.
yeah. Enjoy the journey and enjoy the process, even when it's hard. Like the getting out there and singing my songs live, for me, like, that's what I enjoy the most, and that's the easy part. That's the part I love. But then there's so many other things that there's writing the songs. So, well, I really enjoy writing as well. But like social media, for example, I kind of loathe social media, but I have to do it. Like, it's just something that's part of being a musician now. Um, and but I'm still just trying to, compartmentalize my day. You know, 1 or 2 hours here or there, and then, when the kids get home from school, the phones go away, and you know, um, you're out on the trampoline, or you're, feeding the calves, or I think you just got to try and find that balance. There's going to be things that, yeah, you don't enjoy doing, but yeah, it's just trying to enjoy the journey as well.
Let me ask you probably a question for in the future. What have you thought about what life would look like when you blow up? Of like when you are doing lots of shows, when you do have tours? Because you just described your life at the moment to me, like in the sense of there's a nice balance. Your kids go off to school, you do what you have to do, you do some of the loadsome tasks throughout the day, and then the kids come back. You enjoy your family time, you feed the like. It sounds like your
Yeah,
life is in a really good place. And maybe this I'm
yeah, it is.
projecting onto you something that I've thought about of like, what would happen if I was famous? And so I wonder
Yeah,
if that's a
yeah.
thought that you've had as well.
I try not to do that, purely because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set goals for myself. Like every year, I'm just trying to set a certain amount of goals and accomplish one goal at a time. Like, one of the big goals for me was going to Nashville to record my music for the first time. That was like a massive goal. Um, and then, toward the end of the year, it was, okay, now I'm going to start booking shows and selling tickets. That's my next goal, is selling tickets to my live shows. Hard to do when you're like an unknown, emerging artist. But I'm just doing it anyway. Um, and yeah, next year I would love to have an album next year. Um, but even if I can only release like 1 or 2 songs, so long as I continue to write, to make music and record my music, like, I'm happy. Yeah, I would love for it to be an album, but it's also like the funds, like, it's expensive. So I will be releasing music. Um, yeah, I think that, yeah, I'm just trying to. I said from the very beginning that I don't care if I'm playing for 5 people, 50 or 500 people. I just want to be playing my own music. Like, I want to be touring, and I want to be like, even if it's like at the moment, I'm just touring around Western Australia, you know, hopefully next year it'll be, over east in Australia, or maybe even some parts in America. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to set goals to myself, and I guess our family will just have to make adjustments, like, so it gets back to your question. Um, my husband's really supportive of me, so I feel really lucky. Um, he's definitely had to adjust because when we got married, I wasn't doing any music at all. He knew that I used to, dabble in singing and, but he hadn't really heard me sing properly
Okay.
for, he, he hadn't heard me sing any of my songs we'd been together for years. So when I kind of picked up my guitar again and started writing songs and, said I wanted to go to Nashville to do this EP, he was kind of like, whoa, like it was a bit of an adjustment for him. Like he was like, who is this person? I don't even know this person. But since then, we've come a really long way, like cut to now, after like, 12 months of, he's just like, he's so supportive. And he's like, you're too good to not be heard. And we need to give you like every opportunity. So like he wants me to cheer our boys, if, I think we would just have, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your family. And you have to also never stop pursuing your own dreams. And I think you just figure it out together as a family. So yeah, I guess, I'm not looking for like instant stardom. I want this to be like a journey, where I have to work really, I want to work really hard for it. Definitely want to work really hard for it. And I think everyone has a different idea of success as well, don't they? I mean, for me, like, yeah, even just booking these shows close to home and selling tickets to them, it feels like a big win, like it feels like success. Yeah. And so, yeah, what about you? Like, how long have you been doing what you're doing, and how long have you had this podcast?
Well, I will say before I answer your question, that is a very healthy and very well thought out response to a difficult question of like, what if this happened in your life? But it sounds like you're very present and you're very much just keeping your head on your shoulders and setting the bar of like, this is where I'm at and this is where I can expect to be. And then the challenges that come up are the challenges that come up. And it is fantastic to hear that you've got a family and a partner who is so supportive of your dreams, because not everyone gets that genuinely. Like genuinely, you would think it's
I'm
that
really
you would,
lucky.
you would think you would get it from the people you love, but sometimes they're the ones who tear you down. So it's fantastic to be able to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that before I answer your question.
Thank you. Yeah,
but
thank you.
But with regards to me, I think it's been, what are we coming up to now? 4 and a bit years of doing the podcast. I've released 213 episodes or something like that. So
wow.
it's been a lot of me talking on the internet at the moment.
A lot of amazing conversations. Like, sounds a lot of fun.
It's pretty incredible. I think the weirdest thing is you and I found myself, I've become a significantly better conversationalist than I was at the beginning, or at least you would hope so, because if you've learned nothing along the way.
Oh my God, you're amazing. Much better than me. You can tell that I'm like a massive rookie. I think this is only like my 3rd or 4th like interview. I mean, I've done a few with like newspapers. I've done one other podcast. But yeah, total rookie, not
Well,
experienced
to be
at
fair, you're a
talking.
great singer. So you're a great singer.
Thank
I'm a fantastic talker. So it's like, you pick your success. And to be
you. Combo.
fair to you as well, is this is a difficult style because it is very conversational. Like a lot of interviews are
Mm,
very structured, so you know what's coming. This is designed to be difficult only because you just get to be yourself, and then it's like, oh, am I being too
yeah.
much of
No, I like
myself?
it. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's more authentic, really. Like it's, yeah, having a conversation is much more authentic.
Besides, you're going to do lots of structured interviews, and you're going to be like, I'm so tired of these. I just want to talk freely.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too tired yet, so
Not
not
yet.
yet.
But yeah, I think that's the thing that I've realized is you become a significantly better listener. You become significantly more confident in knowing when you can push, when you can pause, and just being able to not freak out. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I'm in a dead end. I don't know where I'm going. And you just figure out how to navigate those types of things. And
Yeah.
um,
Do you
I've
know what?
definitely,
It's so interesting. It's so interesting that you say that when you were talking about listening. When I was young, every year, I mean, I have ADHD. So, and I only got diagnosed like 6 months ago.
okay, that's
Um,
late.
and when I was growing up, every year on my report, would say the same thing every year. The teacher would say, Shenai needs to focus on her listening skills. Shenai can't pay attention. Shenai is away with the fairies. Like, so, yeah, listening and like being able to pay attention has always been such a hard, um, yeah, it's been something that I've really had to work at. Um, yeah, but anyway, we keep going. We keep
Yeah.
trying.
Well, you're doing a good job right now. Like you are doing and you are present. I think sometimes when you know you've got something, you just got to get rid of the distractions. That's what I found. Like you put the phone away,
Yeah.
and this is
No children helps. No
no
children
children.
running around. Yeah, that definitely
And
helps.
then the other thing was I realized that if I didn't plan my questions, I had no choice but to listen because I never wanted to feel, or I never wanted the person I'm speaking to feel as though, oh, he's not present. He's not thinking. He just asked a question and then he's waiting for the
Yeah.
next ones and he doesn't care. And so that has forced me to become a significantly better listener because my
Yeah.
questions are built off what we discuss anyway. So I think
Yeah.
that's pushed me to be a lot better.
Yeah. No, I think that's really impressive and like brave for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you listen
So
to the
you
early
don't
ones,
have
I'm not
any
good.
like set. I was like, oh, maybe behind the computer he's got like these questions.
No. I've got like, I do a bit of research, so I know a little bit about you, but I don't have any questions ever written down. Like I don't have like ask
Yeah. Okay.
about this. That's never
Yeah.
my style. I don't find it enjoyable because I'm like, I'm gonna find out way more about you talking to you than I am from just doing
Yeah.
research on a computer. Like you're gonna say interesting things,
Yeah.
and that will then be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's cool. Let me find out more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go a little bit more in depth.
Yeah. Well, there's no way for me to know that the conversations you've had with your partner and the thoughts you've had about your career long term, like that's not a research thing. That's a thought that you've had. So when you give answers like that and when people speak freely that way, it makes me more motivated to be like, okay, I'm on the right path. It's more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, like I think when people are watching an interview or like even like multiple interviews of someone that they're a fan of or someone that they know, you don't really want to be getting the same thing back all the time. Like, yeah, I think you want to be learning about how they grow and how they're changing. And yeah. So,
Well, something that I did find interesting about you and something that I did want to ask you about was you're an advocate of like living on the land and like respecting the land. You said you've got calves. that you feed. I am
Yeah.
self-proclaimed a city boy. Like I like the city. That's kind of so I did want to hear what appeals to you, and I wanted to hear it. Like, what is it about this type of life that really
Yeah.
sticks out and is so enjoyable?
That's such a good question. I actually did, when I was studying, I did live in Perth for many years, and that's where I met my husband. So I grew up in a tiny, tiny town called Ongerup, maybe like a population of like a couple hundred people. And then I moved away to Perth I went to high school in Albany, which is a small city. Um, I don't know how many people, but it'd be like 30,000 or something.
It's kind of
So
like
that's where I went to
Geelong
boarding
ish.
school. Yeah, similar, yeah. And then I went to Perth. Then, yeah, I was probably there for close to 10 years, not quite. Then I moved back to the country when um our third child was born. We wanted the boys to have that experience of like that, growing up in the country. For me, having experienced both, um, for me, I mean, I do still enjoy going to the city, to um I've got a lot of girlfriends that are in the city still. I've got, some of my family there. Um, watching shows, like I love getting dressed up and, there's coffee and food, the different restaurants. Like I would definitely say that I'm like a bit of a foodie as well. And I love like really nice food. And um, so like I still enjoy going to the city from time to time. But the reason I love living where we're living and having our base here is because it just comes down to space. It comes down to, um, yeah, like I guess I go to the shop and like, it's really nice. Like, people, you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like such and such, when you live in like a tiny community of like, I think there would be like 1,500 people in Boyup Brook, where I am. So, there's still some people that I don't know, but there's a lot that I do know. And yeah, it can just be really nice. You will, I guess, yeah, looking out for each other in a small community. Um, yeah, I guess that small community and that tight knit community, yeah, you're always like, people are always like lending a hand, helping each other out. And yeah, I think it's just space as well. Like I go to the city, if I go to the city on the weekend, the traffic, like I'm definitely becoming a bit of a traffic snob. Like I'll be there for a day and I'll be like, how do I deal with all this traffic? Like it's just crazy. I mean, like it's 10 a.m. Like why is traffic like so bad? Like that. But yeah, it's just the space. I love just, yeah, our little block is probably 55 acres and it's just
Wow.
so nice having, yeah, which is pretty small for around here because obviously the farms are enormous.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But
the irony of you saying it's my small little block of
yeah.
55 acres,
It's a
and I'm
lot,
like,
sorry, it's a lot bigger than,
than my apartment.
it's a lot bigger, obviously, than an apartment in the city. Yeah, or like even, yeah, a house in the city. Yeah, it just comes down to that space. And yeah, if you kind of, I feel like sometimes in the city, you kind of don't have a choice about like how many people you're coming across every day. Like it's just like the daily like hustle and bustle. Whereas out here, we can kind of, if we don't want to see anyone for 2 weeks, we can just kind of hide away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah, and it's just that small community. Yeah, I think.
I think as I get older, I might be more open to the idea. Definitely as a younger man, I was like, no chance. There's no
And
way.
yeah, it definitely depends where you are in life for sure. Like timing as well. Yeah. Like, I remember when I was growing up in Ongerup, I just had such big dreams. I was like, oh, I can't wait to like leave. And but then yeah, I feel like I've kind of done full circle, and now I'm, and I do still really want to. I just want to tour everywhere, and I want to go everywhere with my music. But I definitely love having a base here. Yeah.
I think it'll be even more important to have a base where you have when you tour, because you're going to have the
Yeah.
high level of excitement and energy, and everyone's around you and people are cheering, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need a little bit of breathing room, and you can go out and be like,
Yeah.
oh, just quiet.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. And just like I'll go outside. I'll go outside sometimes, and I can literally like hear the birds, and um I just listen to like all the noises out here, and I'm like, oh, this is like we're so lucky. We're so lucky to live here. Mm.
I actually might have to make sure my girlfriend is to listen to this conversation, because she will 100% want it. I don't think she listens to many of mine,
You're
to
like,
be
let's
honest.
buy some
Yeah.
land. Sorry, what was that?
That I was just because she is definitely more the like living further away type. Like everything you've
Yeah.
described, I can see her being like, that's exactly what I would like. And so I think I'm gonna strategically not tell her too much about this conversation.
And so, sorry, where are you based?
I'm in Melbourne.
You're in Melbourne. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, love Melbourne.